Hi guys, welcome to my channel again. It's Delightful Dave, and today we're going to be talking about 5 different ways that you can invest some of your hard-earned money. And we're actually going to rank them in order, or somewhat of in order-ish, but we're going to kind of tell you exactly which ones are our favorite. And this is our first ranked video, so like and subscribe. We're going to get right into it right now. First up, we're going to be talking about Lending Club. So Lending Club is actually pretty cool because it's a peer-to-peer money lending website that in its infancy was a really, really good idea. Right? So you can invest about $25 into an individual share of a loan. You can kind of pick and choose which ones are best, which ones are least best. They have a scale between A and D. Obviously, the lower the scale, the higher the interest, but the higher chance of that loan will default and you'll basically lose everything. So right now their average return is about 6%, and personally it's one of my least places to spend my money, right? I did a lot of it back in the day when it was really good, but at this point it just kind of seems like there's more defaulting than it's worth. So, and my average rate of return has been about 3% personally, and I get 3% pretty much anywhere. I'm not going to put my money in a place that's going to stress me out. But Lending Club is great if you want to take the time to individually look at each individual loan application and spend your money. For me personally, I don't have a lot of time to do that between running the channel, working, my dogs, the whole 9 yards. But that's actually a really, really good place to start to maybe look at. It's pretty good. How they make their money is they generally charge their investors 1% of basically everything that you make, and then they charge a loan origination fee. So, and you can kind of see that 1% is not too terribly bad. It's better than most mutual funds for you fancy investors out there that know what I'm talking about. So, that being said, you know, the minimum investment is $25. Now, they claim on their website that you should be spending about $2,500 originally, so that way you can diversify your actual holdings, so in case, you know, 20 of them default, which has been my average, unfortunately, you're not losing as much because you have the other 80, right? Versus you putting $25 into one, that one defaulting and basically losing it all. Personally, Lending Club is the most like a slot machine that I know for investments. It's like buying the worst kind of junk bond you can possibly find. So the average return they claim is about 5 to 7%. I have talked to other people that are achieving those numbers or greater. So like I said, individual investments, you know, that's up to you guys. But it's just an option, right? The liquidity score, they have, you know, we give it a 50 out of 100 because they have a way that you can sell those assets off and take that money, but you generally have to sell for quite a bit less than what it's worth. Not to mention the other fees that are associated with it, and all in all, it's just kind of a bad situation. Generally, you have to wait 3 to 6 months for that loan to mature, and then you can pull your money out or invest it into other things. And that being said, you know, you do receive that monthly payment back on the loan that you can start putting towards other loans, and, you know, that whole general snowball effect, which makes a lot of sense for some people. And that's kind of what I looked at. It's like, okay, I'll get the monthly payment, I'll be able to reinvest that, and it'll be great. Not so great, because like I said, it's about 2 out of 10 default on mine, which is a lot. It's like 20%. So ease of use, Lending Club actually gets an 85 out of 100. To be honest with you, as soon as you understand the website and everything associated with it, its ease of use, it's pretty easy. There's a few minor tweaks that I would personally make, which is why we gave it the 85 score. Right down to the user rating, and this is why it's not personally our favorite. The user rating on this particular application is about 45 out of 100, and we're talking about today, not when it first came on. It was really cool, but today. So that's one individual club or Lending Club or investment opportunity that you do have as an investor. It's pretty cool in the sense if you want to play around with it, but long term I don't see it going as well as some of the other investments that we're going to be talking about. But if you are interested, there will be a link down in the description. You can check it out. They'll give you a couple extra bonuses if you want to invest quite a bit of money, but it might be worth checking out. So the next and one of my personal favorites would be an application called Worthy. Worthy is really, really, really cool because it's only a $10 minimum investment, and the returns aren't an average. This is just what they are. It's 5%. So it's the way that I will put it. It's like having a savings account where you're always getting 5% back. So regardless of how you want to look at it, you know, Worthy just kind of makes sense for a lot of people. So I'm going to try to put up in the description here what my account looks like. I just opened it. It's a brand new application as well, and some of the other ones we'll be talking about are as well there. But basically how it works is you purchase a bond, right? And people who are familiar with bonds go, oh, but there could be junk bonds. Those aren't the kind of bonds that Worthy invests in. Worthy invests in specific type of assets. These assets are, how do we put that here? They're worth more than the money we're giving them. So if that makes sense, that's how they claim it on their website. And like I said, the average user rating on this one here is a 75, right? They've had a couple of things that they need to fix, and they can easily get that number up. Personally, ease of use, we gave it a 65 out of 100. There are a lot of weird features on there. I don't like how the app looks. Personally, just based on what I've been using so far, you have to log into it every time. These things are going to change as time goes on, so I'm thinking that number will come up dramatically as well. Liquidity score, 85 out of 100. Besides the ridiculous wait time to move money around, this is great. You can sell your bonds that mature at 36 months at any time. They'll take your money out and give it back and put it in your bank account. It just takes a few days to actually make that happen. So their overall score with us here, they got a 75 out of 100. Now Worthy's really cool, and they're offering you guys some extra bonus stuff when you click the link in the description. It's definitely something worth checking out if you're interested in that. But personally, the way I like to look at Worthy is it's where I put money that I have extra. I put it in this account, and then I take that interest and I'll, you know, whatever the interest is, I'll put it on my phone payment every month or whatever it is. I know I had a couple of buddies that have been using Worthy for so long now, but they have so much money invested in there that every single month they will actually get their they'll use it to pay their car payment, right? So just imagine your money working so hard for you, you don't have a car payment because your money's taking care of it already. Wouldn't that be nice? So number 3, we actually have Robinhood and M1 Finance. Now we did put these two together because all in all they're essentially the same thing. Right, so Robinhood is actually a really cool app. It's free trading, all that good stuff, but you know, it's pretty good. So Robinhood is a fantastic, easy to use application that allows you to invest in stocks without paying trading fees. Personally, one of my favorite applications for dividend investing. I'll purchase a stock in companies that will pay me dividends. It's straightforward. It's a straightforward approach to investing. However, it is stock investing. Know what you're doing before investing. Now that's something I wrote here, hence why I'm looking at my computer while talking to you, because sometimes my words don't come out correctly. Robinhood does have some premium features that are not a requirement. This is one of the ways that they are trying to make money. So currently, if you're familiar, Robinhood is not a profitable company thus far. They do other investments like cryptocurrency, all that kind of stuff, which you can find other videos on. Personally, I don't invest in cryptocurrency through Robinhood. There's plenty of other, you know, better ways to invest in cryptocurrency that isn't Robinhood. M1 Finance is a lot like Robinhood. Personally, I use Robinhood. I've used it for forever. There'll be a link down in the description for both Robinhood and M1 Finance, and they give you a little kickback on those as well. So let me take a look here, see what else I had on here. Like I said, when it comes to dividend investing, that's what I use the Robinhood for. I'll invest in companies like, I'm gonna use a bad word here, I would invest in companies like Ford or a lot of companies that have been around for a really long time that have a very high dividend score and dividend growth rate. I'll put some money in there. I'll basically leave it for forever and just kind of let that dividend kind of keep paying me so I can then go in and purchase more stock. And there's a lot of other users that or other YouTubers that have a lot on the Robinhood side of things here. So personally, I don't, which is fine. I feel like there's enough content out there for that, so we won't have to worry about that one. Okay, so Robinhood has a couple of things here, right? Like their minimum investment is quite honestly any. It's free to trade. So the liquidity score gives it a massive 99 out of 100. I don't give anything a 100. I don't care where it comes from. It could always be better. The reason it got a 99, which probably should have been a 95 now that I'm looking at it, is of how long the funds actually take to move around. It takes forever to go into the application. It takes longer for it to leave. Robinhood's done a lot of things on that, so all in all, great. Ease of use, I give it a 75 out of 100. Anybody familiar with stocks? Robinhood will take you about 2 minutes to understand, and anybody unfamiliar with stocks, it'll take you about 2 minutes to lose all your money. And I mean that to the fullest extent. Don't invest in stocks unless you know what you're invested in. Do your research ahead of time. There's a lot of tools on Robinhood and a lot of forums and other places like that that I'll try to link in the description where you can find information and whatnot. But that being said, there is no such thing as a hot stock or a hot pick or anything like that at all. So not an investment professional, just so we're all on the same page. User rating, it gets an 85 out of 100. They do have a lot of issues currently with customer service. They're a little bit behind on getting back to people. Especially one thing that I've noticed is when a stock does a, what is the word I'm looking for here? I'm always going to blank on this stuff. When a stock decides to move from 1 to 2 shares or 2 shares to 1 share, and let's say, for instance, you own 3 shares of a stock, but now, you know, they've taken those 3 shares and made it 1 share, or 4 shares really made it 1 share. They have to basically go in and manually credit you for your stock shares, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, and there seems to be a lot of issues with trading not actually happening, that kind of stuff. And that being said, I personally haven't had any issues, but that's what I've been reading online. So, hence why it gets an 85 out of 100. Overall score, it gets an 86 out of 100 because we apparently like nice, round, easy numbers here. All in all, a good app, especially if you know what you're doing. If you're going to invest in companies that you know aren't going to be bankrupt tomorrow, great, good for you. But like I said, do your research, know what you're doing ahead of time. And there'll be a link in the description for both Robinhood and M1 Finance. Take a look at both of them, figure out which one you like better, stick with that one. So I do know people that use both of them for whatever reasons. So obviously number 4, we have Ground Floor. Ground Floor is really, really cool in the sense that it is relatively newer. That being said, there's some ups and downs with a relatively newer application, right? The minimum investment is about $10. You can invest in a lot of different things. So generally what this does is it puts your money into, like, house flippers, right? House flippers need to have their money come from somewhere. They get it from Ground Floor. House flippers take it. They use that money to flip the house, yada, yada, yada. You can invest with as little as $10. The average return there supposedly is about 10%, which could be a lot lower, depending on how you want to move that money around. So the website has a lot of great reviews, and unlike other websites that invest in loans, there is a lot less issues with users defaulting on their loans. So like we were talking before, like Lending Club, users are defaulting on their loans all the time, right? Like literally all the time. Like it just happens, people just go, I'm gonna get this loan, I'm not gonna pay it. You don't have that issue as often with Ground Floor. In fact, I have a couple of my buddies personally that use Ground Floor, and they have claimed that nobody has defaulted on their assets. That being said, I'm sure that's not an entirety of Ground Floor. That's just their personal experience. So if you're looking for decent returns with some risk, this may be the site for you. 10% returns, definitely not bad by any means. So they do have some reviews from DelightfulDave personally and our group here that we've all talked about. The average returns, like I said, about 10%. A liquidity score of about 10 out of 100. Once your money goes in, you can't pull it out until either A, the loan is paid back in full, or B, the loan is paid back in full. Generally what happens with a lot of these loans is they are paid back long before they are due because the house will sell. They'll pay all that money back into it, and great. So now the ease of use on this application, 55 out of 100. I actually had a really hard time understanding everything that was going into it. I was personally looking at it, but maybe I'm not that smart, so as a group we gave it a 55 out of 100. User rating, the people who were actually using it, actually making money, they got a massive 75 out of 100, and their overall score is about 47 out of 100. So that being said, relatively newer, they're going to be great eventually, but it's something to definitely look into. Alright, and obviously number 5 of my personal favorite, this is the highest ranking that I can give any investment application. In fact, I have a good chunk of my money invested with them. It's Landa. It's the one you've seen in all my other videos. It's the greatest of all time application. It's the newest. It's the least experienced, and yet it's my favorite. It's great. So, Landa is awesome. So I'm going to read from my notes. You're going to see my eyes go this way. Landa is by far one of my favorite investing platform. You can invest in individual properties with as little as $5 with an average return between 7 to 12% annually. Now that is something we calculated out. In general, it's not something that Landa did. That's something that we looked at. And that's to say that your equity didn't go up and you're just raking in that monthly rent check. Isn't that nice? Investing $5 and acting like you're a landlord? That's just great. Everybody wishes they did that. So each home has 10,000 shares, so you never get diluted. Your shares never become worth less because there's more people invested in that property. And you own a chunk of the property that appreciates over time with a chunk of the rental income as well. So Landa doesn't charge any trading fees or moving money fees. So you can, trade, invest, pull money in, pull money out, all free. They make their money on management fees. So far, the average monthly income on a $10 investment is about 7 cents per month, or 84 cents per year, which is huge. I mean, that is crazy. 84 cents per year on every $10 you have invested, on average, as it sits right now. So currently, Landa has about 10 properties on their application at the time of shooting this video. Now, being an insider with Landa, I have had the opportunity to speak to the CEO of Landa and several of its other users, and a whole lot of things that are happening with Landa over the next few months. So as it sits right now, Landa is pretty much only accessible for accredited investors. So what does that mean? It means that you make more than $200,000 a year, or you just basically know what you're doing. It's for the average user that only has $5 to invest. You're probably not an accredited investor. That being said, over the next month to 2 months, this application will be open to all investors. So my suggestion to you would be to download it and get in now versus when the floodgates open. That's going to be huge for you. Personally, what I've seen happen since I've started investing in Landa is, one, I buy the property during its IPO, and then I've personally turned around and sold it when it's pretty much almost doubled in price, or up 20-30%, and then I'll go in and I'll spend that money on the next IPO. And that is because there's more users than there are properties. And don't worry, I know that sounds scary, they're working on changing that. Jason over there is fantastic. He's in charge of making sure there's more properties. And we did just recently have a pretty big meeting on exactly what's going to be happening in the future of Landa. And I can tell you this straight away, it is very exciting. When it comes to an application like this is the one you want to get in on. I've talked about a lot of other applications. Worthy would probably be my second favorite, but again, I view that as a savings account. I view Landa as a high-end investment tool. It is, you can make so much money and have the cash flow very, very quickly, on $100 to $200. So you have a $200 in the account, you're making $1 something every single month. That's crazy. That's just crazy to me. So it just kind of makes you want to buy more of the properties, buy more of the properties. And what's great about Landa is how liquid it is. So traditionally, if you buy into a rental property, you own it. That's brick and mortar, and you want to sell that, buddy, it's going to cost you close to 10%. Oh, but buying it, maintaining it, cleaning toilets, none of that. Landa handles the whole 9 yards. So Landa makes most of their money, and this is how they want to make most of their money, on management fees. Right, so if you download the application, you'll actually be able to see it, or check out some of our other videos. I have it highlighted on there as well. You can actually see how they're making their individual money, right, which is huge. They make, you know, like $80 some on a property, but you gotta think of what actually goes into that. They also make sure that there's a tenant if somebody calls in the middle of the night, making sure they get paid, all that good jazz. You don't lift a finger, and that's way worth it. And I've done the research. It's about the same price as any other company to maintain the property for you. So, which is huge. Like I said, they've only been out for a few months. I've always gotten paid. In fact, there'll be another video dropping very, very soon on the next payout, as well as you see me selling shares and actually pulling money out of Landa, because I know that's been a scary thing as well for a lot of users, having a few issues with that. They did just drop a brand new update yesterday on the 10/30, not to date this video, of 2019. You're watching this video in 2023, I'm sorry. This is how Landa started, and now you want to see how it's exploded and you didn't get it on it sooner. That's your own fault. So Landa has a minimum investment of about $5. So you can buy a property for about $4 if you want to. Which is cool. Like, you do what you want to. My personal idea for you would be to throw $100 into it, see what it does. If you like it, keep putting more money into it. I'm not going to tell you to say, hell yeah, let's put thousands and thousands of dollars into Landa. There's only 10 properties, people. There's not enough shares to go around. But there will be, and very, 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 very soon. Not to mention that everybody will be buying them. Everybody. It'll be crazy. So an average return of about 8 to 12%, a liquidity score, sorry, I gave it 90 out of 100. Especially considering you actually own property. You actually own it. Like, there's a whole document that says, hey, you own some property, right? So if you're not a homeowner, guess what? You're a homeowner. A chunk of a homeowner, to say the very least. Ease of use, I give it about a 80 out of 100. And that number will go up when they launch new things on the application. The actual ease of use also, oh, we actually did that one already. I'm sorry. The user rating on this application is about 75 out of 100. If you go to Google, if you go to Apple, you'll be able to kind of see the same thing. They're when they started, and they have about 3,500 active users right now, they had a lot of issues, and that's kind of what happens with a brand new application that's really going to stir up the market. Starts out, it exploded, right? Landa does zero marketing at this point. Landa does zero marketing at this point, and it exploded, right? It's huge. So that being said, there's some minor things that they've had to fix over the last couple of months, and a whole lot more new stuff coming out very, very soon. That is very, very exciting. So there's a link down in the description below that actually give you some money free just to start investing, just to check it out, which would be great. Now the overall score, 81.5 out of 100. Literally 81.5 out of 100, which is huge for a brand new application. Alright, okay, so just to kind of recap here, the first one we talked about was Lending Club, which is the lowest rated investing platform that we're going to be talking about on this video. Now, keep in mind, there's about thousands of other ones out there. I just use Lending Club because they're one of the biggest names in that, but there's some other ones on there. So, my next least favorite, I guess, if we have to go that route here, would be Ground Floor, just based on its ease of use and kind of what the requirements are over there, but it's definitely worth checking out if that's something you're interested in. Personally, I like a liquid asset, which is why I ranked it that far down. Definitely Robinhood and M1 Finance would be third on my list for sure, just because I love the liquidity of it, but there's just better options for me as an investor out there, which is why I don't use them. Now keep in mind I still do a lot of bonds, or not bonds, I still do a lot of dividend stocks through Robinhood, right? That's kind of my go-to, but I don't really use M1. I've logged into it a couple of times. I just started with Robinhood and haven't really moved since, which is why I want you to check out both and decide for yourself, right? Look at both, decide for yourself. Obviously, number 2 would be Worthy because 5% returns, basically the best savings account you'll ever have, and it's very, very liquid. So, $10 investment, every 7 days you get a penny. Woo! So, every 7 days, yay. Every year you get 50 cents, yay. It's not great, but it's better than any savings account that you'll ever have, ever. Obviously, number 1 on the list, I'm going to give a big round of applause. I don't think we can get a clap track going, but it would be great if we could. Would be Landa. By far the best investment application out there. I'll actually link some information down below on each individual one of these. If you want to hang out, you want to talk, we have an entire community dedicated to Landa. Carmel over there is awesome. All of these guys are very, very cool. We actually just recently had a meeting with the CEO and a bunch of other really cool Landa people, and this entire notebook here is basically filled up full of what's going to be happening in the future, but because of an NDA. I'm kidding, they didn't make me sign an NDA, but it's a lot of privileged information, but what I can tell you is to be excited, so I am. Otherwise I wouldn't be here telling you about it. Just so you guys are aware, we do have a Patreon where you can actually put a little bit of money in with us, and we'll invest it for me, of course, or for Delightful Dave. But you'll actually be able to see that investment grow every single month. We'll actually call you out by name in video, and this is brand new. We have now reached 500 subscribers, so that's very, very exciting as well. Actually, when I looked earlier, it was 499, but I just assumed you were going to subscribe too, and we'd even it out to a good 500 or more. But it's been fantastic. So this is Delightful Dave. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below. I always respond to comments. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.